morning, everybody. It is, what is today? January 5th, 2019. Happy New Year's. Hold on. My baby. And today I'm here with my original baby, Casper, as we tell you what this next video is going to be about. And it is going to be about my new book tattoo. It is Friday, January 11th, I believe. Yep. And I just finished my second round, or personal round, of edits on Devil's Heir. Cue music. So I'm so excited. There's definitely another round that I want to do, so I'm going to call it round 2A before I send it out to all my betas. So my sister gave me some good tips that I'm going to add to the beginning because she's still working through it. So I'm hoping to get in her tips fairly soon and then work through the rest of it just on my own again before sending it out to beta, since that's going to be the third round officially that I'm going to have to redo anyways. So might as well just send it out as quickly as I can so I can get multiple inputs from multiple people. Yeah, so just wanted to give that quick little update. Today is Sunday, January 13th. It's almost 11 o'clock. And those two previous clips that you saw were the beginnings of what this video was supposed to be. So originally I was going to do last week's video about my, excuse me, getting my book tattoo, which I'll show at the end of this video. And then there was one Friday, I think, which was me completing my personal round of edits for Devil's Heir. So I told myself that I was going to give myself this weekend off, so January 12th and 13th. That, of course, didn't happen. I've been editing it all weekend, but I'm really glad that I did because I finally feel like I'm really getting somewhere. It wasn't just scenes or like sentences that I was changing. I feel like I'm finally making big changes, big important story, plot, storyline related changes. So I'm pretty excited about that. And so what prompted me to be able to get to that point, I believe, is I rewrote the first chapter. So I was thinking about it and I decided to combine the first and second chapters, because the first chapter is basically just an introduction to the character. Her name is Kala, and her aunt. And it was just a scene of them in the car driving and talking, which is fine because you get to know the characters a little bit more, because it's mostly dialogue. But since there's so many other scenes throughout the book of just the two of them talking, I felt like we didn't really need it. So I jumped into the second chapter, which is finally when they settle. I'll leave it at that. When they settle. And so I kind of added some of the dialogue from chapter 1 into the second chapter and vice versa. So I finally feel like that is what really helped me start anew. So at this point I've gotten to about chapter 3 or 4, something like that. So I still like, you know, where the chapters are going. I'm not going to completely redo everything, but I need to make sure that the beginnings and the ends of each chapter are now aligning. Like, I need to make sure that I don't mention something in a later chapter that I already deleted, you know, stuff like that. So I have about one or two like major chapter rewrites, but after that hopefully it'll just be the small bits of me connecting everything. So I'm so sorry To everyone who I know is waiting, all my beta readers, I'm so sorry. I know you're waiting, I know you're excited, but I promise, and I know I've said this before, but I promise this version is already so much better. Like I said, I'm only like really 3 to 4 chapters into the major changes that I'm making in round 2A is what I'm calling this draft. So I promise it's worth it. And something that I wanted to note for myself is, what was it? Oh, for anyone who's like a first time novel writer and doing their round of edits, don't get too caught up, which is what I have to tell myself all the time. Don't get too caught up in trying to make it perfect, because obviously when you publish it, if that's your end game, you want to have it perfect, obviously, right? But with writer's blindness, which is basically a term saying that you've been in the story for so long, you've looked at these pages for so long, you might not be able to even tell if something's missing or what's wrong anymore. So try not to get too caught up in making it what you think is going to be the perfect version, because you're still going to have to give it to your beta readers, and it's going to be their first time looking at it. So they're obviously going to have a lot of opinions on how to make it better, how they think, you know, it'll make it better. So you're going to have to change it again anyways. And that's something that I obviously know. I know that I'm going to have to go at least 3, 4, 5 rounds of it. But I just get so caught up in trying to make it perfect because I don't want people to think I'm a bad writer. It is really what it is, honestly. Like I want people to think that it's good. I want people to think that it's worthy to sit upon their shelf, you know? And that's super scary. Super scary. Sharing your work is super scary. My mom just finished her copy of it this past weekend, and she said that she loved it, which obviously she's my mom, she has to. But when I asked her, like, specifically what she thought about the ending, because I guess I could say that it leaves on a major cliffhanger, because it's a series is what I'm planning. So, you know, I asked her, like, did you expect it? Like, was it too obvious? And she said no, so that's great. But who knows? Other people might catch it super quickly, and some people might not, which I'm really glad is why I have a pretty big beta reading pool, about like 7 or 8 people, I think, who are willing to beta read it for me. So hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of different versions of what people think, whatever, feedback. So yeah, so that's what I have so far for my editing update. But I was gonna start this video, which is probably about already 8, 9, 10 minutes in, talking about why I decided to self-publish. So why I decided to self-publish, multiple reasons. Obviously that's what everyone is always going to tell you when you look up these videos. Oh, for different reasons, but the reasons all overlap. So I think the biggest one for me personally is genre. From my understanding of what is currently in market right now, there's a huge market for fantasy, like full-blown fantasy. Mine is not a fantasy. Mine is a paranormal romance, which right now, from my understanding, like I said, isn't really in. And it's not vampires, it's not werewolves, it's not fairies, so it's not anything that's like already been super done before. In fact, I think it's gonna be a little bit different, because, you know, usually demons are the big bad. In my book, yes, they are the big bad, but I love them for that reason. So I want to give voice to the big bad, you know? So it is a little bit different, but that's basically the biggest reason why I'm deciding to self-publish. Genre. And, you know, I've heard from other authors who do specific genre fiction, such as paranormal, where they will get feedback from agents and they'll be like, oh, I think this is really good, but it's not selling right now, so let's try this in 3 to 5 years. No. I'm not waiting 3 to 5 years. I can't wait 3 to 5 years. I'm so impatient naturally in life. Like, I see some of these other authors who, whether they decided to self-publish or traditionally publish, they always talk about, oh, I've been working on this first draft for 5 to 7 years. No fucking way. No way. Like, granted, like, most of them are all adults who are married and have kids and have lives, so like, yeah, sure, it took them that long, but no way. Like, I can't. I can't. Like, I'm already struggling trying to fix up the first one, and I already have like a determined release date in mind. Like, I can't. I just can't wait. I'm too impatient. So that's my second reason. The third, which I suppose is like some people's main reason for self-publishing, but for me it more stresses me out, is to have full creative creative control. You know, I decide who edits, I decide not the publisher, I decide the cover designer, I do everything, which to some people is really exciting because they like to dip their toes into all that type of stuff. To me, it more stresses me out, but I gotta do it anyways, so I guess I can add that onto this list. But yeah, I think those are the 3 main reasons I decided that I'm going to self-publish my debut novel, Devil's Heir. That doesn't mean that I don't want to traditionally publish later. There are a couple books that I have in mind that I think would definitely do better as traditionally published pieces of work. So one day I'll get to that, whether I work on 2 projects at once and, you know, maybe I get to it sooner than later, but eventually, like I said, these are the 2 that I have in mind specifically. Are also young adult pieces, but they're contemporary, so not like paranormal or fantasy or anything like that. I've been thinking about them for a really long time too, so it's not like anything new where I'll probably forget about it. Like, I've gone back to these 2 specific ideas quite a few times, so hopefully once I have a debut series down, it'll give me enough confidence to be able to go back and try that again. So anyways, yeah, so I already have a cover designer and editor in mind. I'm waiting back to hear from them to give me some estimates on what they think that'll be. So it'll be published on as an ebook and a paperback. Originally it was planned, or I planned, to create my own publishing house, publishing company, whatever, to create my own LLC, because if you want to work with Ingram Spark, the printing company Ingram Spark, you need to sign up as a publishing company. You can't do it just as an author, which I think is kind of stupid, but whatever. So it's not impossible. Obviously, a lot of people already do it. I've already done the research for it, but in California, if you have an LLC, so a company, for tax purposes, you have to pay at least $800 every single year, no matter how good your business does. So to me, like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Considering that, you know, this is my debut series, I don't know how well it's gonna do. Like, I'm already projected to spend at least $2,000+ on this book just to get it released, you know, because it's really important to me that it's as good as anything up there. You know, I'm not gonna just ask my mom, ask my sister, like, hey, can you edit this for me and go on fucking Canva and make my own cover? Like, no, it's really important to me that it's legit. So I'm willing to spend the money. I'm so lucky that I'm able to save up and spend that money. But $800 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So hopefully in the future, if my series is as successful as I pray that it will be, eventually I will create that publishing house if I decide to continue down the self-published route, so I can create hardcovers. So that's really exciting. And not only hardcovers, but with this specific publishing company, printing company, Ingram Spark, they have more of a reach. So it's possible to get books in like actual bookstores, but doing it through KDP, which is Amazon's printing company, it's not as likely, because if you ask a bookstore to buy 50 copies of your book, and if they don't sell, they're not able to return them. While with Ingram Spark, they are able. So it's less of like a risk for, you know, small bookstores to purchase your stuff, basically. Yeah, so right now, as of right now, not right now, but you know, as of later when it's published, it'll be available in ebook and paperback on Amazon. I'm also planning on doing a really cool thing where I buy a bunch of author copies. So I buy a bunch of copies myself, and if you want a signed version of a paperback, I'm not gonna say what it is yet, but I'm planning on doing like a super special like package, basically. Like, so when you get the book, it'll come in like a really cool package. So it is gonna be a little bit more expensive than if you would just do it on Amazon, obviously, because other things are going into it. Not by too much. How much it really is, no freaking idea. I don't know any of the numbers yet, because it all depends on how thick the book is. Will determine how much that the printing company is going to charge to print the book, and from there I would only get a certain percentage of what's left over, if that makes sense. So if it's $17, it costs $7 to print, it's $10 left over, and the author only gets a certain amount of that $10 anyways, not the full 10. So yeah, anyways, so that's gonna be really cool, which is something that obviously I don't know if I'd be able to do it traditionally, because you only get a certain amount of author copies. Maybe you can request them, you know, from your publisher. I have no idea, but through Amazon, through the self-publishing, I can request multiple times how many number of author copies that I want. So that's something that I'm super looking forward to. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. I'm working on my author website that I'm gonna do pretty soon. I already have that little super simple website that I have up right now. If you go to leilonilopez.com, it's an actual link, you can go to it. There's not too much on there, but author Brittany Wang is a fellow author. Well, she's working on her novel right now. I don't know if she's going to traditionally publish or self-publish, but excuse me, she has a really awesome author website that she did through Wix, and so she created a course where she recorded, you know, pre-done videos for fellow authors to follow so they can do their own.